What exactly is a traitor? A traitor. Well, there's many definitions, but most of them have a similar core definition, which is somebody who betrays a friend, a principle, or a country. Somebody who is disloyal to friends, to groups, to beliefs, and their country. And I believe that's Tucker Carlson. I truly do. And in some ways, he's worse than some of these people in the past, because he not only has stabbed the commander-in-chief, President Trump, in the back repeatedly, as he did in June before we launched our attack on the Islamo-Nazi Iranian regime's nuclear bases, but he has a history of stabbing the commander-in-chief in the back. He has a history of coddling up to our enemies, whether they're in Europe like Russia, the Middle East, and he has a history of trashing American patriots. He also has a history of lying, of twisting, leaking to a friendly media, dispiriting the American people, creating a divide, and in my view, undermining MAGA, the Republican Party, and ultimately the country. So let's get into this. History. Benedict Arnold. Who was Benedict Arnold? Well, actually, Benedict Arnold was a great general who fought in the Revolutionary War. Let's take a look at this from mountvernon.org. As a general in the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War, Benedict Arnold served with distinction in key battles, but he was passed over for promotion several times. He felt very aggrieved. Arnold was also investigated by the Continental Congress during his service and faced various accusations from opponents. Frustrated by the opposition, Arnold eventually started working for the British, even while continuing to serve in the Continental Army. Ultimately, his betrayal was discovered, and Arnold fled to New York City, accepting a commission in the British Army. Arnold's name has become synonymous with treasonous behavior and is perhaps one of the most infamous figures in American history. Traitor. I believe Tucker Carlson will be viewed as one of the great traitors in American history as time goes on and people look back. It's one man's opinion, my opinion, but I think it's shared by many. Benedict Arnold was born in 1741 to a prominent Connecticut family. Oh, prominent. Arnold lost most of his siblings to yellow fever, events that possibly triggered alcoholism in his father. As a teenager, Arnold's family faced financial hardship. At the age of 16, he enlisted in a militia and served in the 7 Years' War in upstate New York. During the 1760s, Arnold started a successful apothecary business, establishing himself as an influential person in New Haven, Connecticut. Through operating these businesses, he traveled throughout New England, Quebec, and in the Caribbean, and he married Margaret Mansfield in 1767. Arnold's role as a prominent businessman brought him into direct conflict with both the Stamp Act and the Sugar Act, where the British government sought to regulate and tax colonial business transactions. Arnold joined the Sons of Liberty and continued his business in defiance of the British acts, effectively becoming a smuggler. His political involvement, previous military experience, and role as a smuggler propelled him to military leadership. He was elected to the position of captain in the Connecticut militia in 1775. He participated in the siege of Boston and advocated that the Army capture Fort Ticonderoga. While returning from the engagement, he learned of the death of his wife. Afterward, he resigned his militia commission and took a command in the Continental Army. As a proponent of the failed Quebec campaign, he held various commands related to its movements. In the fall of 1777, he fought the Battle of Saratoga, where he received a leg wound. In June of 1778, Washington gave him command of the city of Philadelphia upon the British withdrawal. The following year, he married Peggy Shippen, his second wife, and a member of a prominent Loyalist family in the city. Despite this service, Arnold was the focus of hostility from multiple officers in the Continental Army. Arnold brought complaints against Moses Hazen, which led to his court-martial. Afterwards, Hazen leveled countercharges. Joseph Reed, a former aide-de-camp of Washington, serving on the Supreme Executive Council of Pennsylvania, feuded with Arnold, criticizing his behavior as oppressive over the people of Philadelphia. He was difficult to get along with. Washington directed the matter before Congress. In January 1780, Arnold was cleared of serious charges concerning these matters, but the trial adversely affected his military career and reputation. However, Arnold also became involved in conflicts with both John Brown and James Easton, who he served with on the Quebec campaign. Brown, in response, published a pamphlet that claimed of Arnold, quote, "Money is this man's God, and to get enough of it, he would sacrifice his country." Quote, unquote. Arnold expressed disappointment and pessimism about the prospects of the United States, and evidence mounted that he was conspiring with the British by exchanging sensitive military information for money. Although cleared of a court-martial, Arnold was rebuked by Washington, who called his conduct imprudent and improper. It is possible these feuds and assaults on his republic tempted him to commit treason. After being passed over for promotion to Major General, Arnold attempted to resign his commission. Arnold resigned his post in Philadelphia and eventually gained command at West Point under the endorsement of Philip Schuyler. It was in this role that he entered into secret negotiations with the British. He transferred money to British forces and passed on information that would aid the British in capturing West Point. At the same time, he weakened the fort's defenses and thinned out its supplies to make it easier to do so. John Andre, the officer in charge of British intelligence in North America, was his contact. In late September of 1780, he was captured and ultimately executed for his role in the plot. Now, the documents in his possession when he was arrested implicated Benedict Arnold and revealed Arnold's betrayal. Before his execution, the Americans offered a prisoner exchange of Andre for Arnold, but it was refused by the British. Arnold narrowly avoided capture by the Americans and eventually fled to England with his family. Washington wrote of Arnold, "Treason of the blackest dye was yesterday discovered." He died and was buried in Britain. Arnold served in the British Army for the duration of the war, and he then engaged in business in Canada and England until his death in 1801. Since then, his name has become synonymous with moral failure, betrayal, sinister self-interest. His treason against the Continental Army and methods in which he used to so demonstrates the importance of espionage tactics in the American Revolution. Benedict Arnold. Our 250th anniversary. There were people undermining us. He wasn't the only one. He was prominent enough. When we were fighting our life and death war against the British, undermining us, serving the interests of the enemy at the end. Folks, if you enjoyed this clip and you want to watch the entire episode, I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You can go to YouTube and subscribe, or go to Rumble and follow. And by the way, tell your friends and family too. I'll see you then.